Greetings, flesh creatures. It is I, Megatron. On behalf of TFYLP, I want to congratulate you for listening to the most refined collective podcast on this miserable little planet Earth. Yes. Here you'll find knowledgeable fans discussing every aspect of Transformers and beyond. Now, enjoy the show while I continue my path to complete conquest of all of you miserable biological entities. Predacons, terrorize!
I'm out.
Hi, and welcome to TFYLP, episode 376. We've got, with me, I've got Anna.
Good evening.
I've got Paul.
Hello.
And I've got Rick.
I killed a whole box of wine today.
There you go. I mean, there's goals that we have to have, here with this.
Yeah.
With everything that's going on, so.
Yeah. Kids, right? Yeah.
Was that before noon?
No. No. I don't remember when I started.
Before 10?
AM?
Yeah.
For now.
I
don't know. The time is just blurring. Like I wake up in the middle of the night and I do things, and then I go to sleep, and then I wake up and I do other things, and I go. So like, time is a man-made construct, man.
Sure
it doesn't
is.
really exist in nature.
It's a flat circle.
I think it does
Time is
exist
a
in nature.
prison. Time is a prison. Time is just a way of nature allowing us to experience existence.
Wow, that's tonight's topic, huh? I was mistold.
Yeah.
So can you at least get deliveries of wine to your house? In these tough
Yes,
times?
and let me tell you something about Instacart. I love Instacart, and I shared a story the other day on the Facebook. People, like, you can change the tip after Instacart, so they're like, $50 tip, go to a grocery store, get my booze, whatever, my peeps, whatever you need, and then 10 minutes after the person delivers it, they change the tip to $0. Those people are scum.
Okay, I thought you were trying to say
I was going to say, I thought that was like a pro tip
seriously, Rick,
first.
don't do that.
No, I tip 25%.
Okay.
Because these people are a lifesaver. Like, if I can't have my booze and my eggs and my bacon delivered, it's gonna be bad news bears.
I want to tip that much, but every one of my orders is like $200 to $300.
Well, I'm buying a house for 5 people and the dogs and cats, so these people are they are miracle workers and they're risking their lives. So the least I can do is thank them. The only way I know how, by throwing either money at them or sweeps, and half the time they don't even want sweeps.
True. They probably don't.
Or Viacons. Although I did have a guy take a Gatorade once, and I was like, that was $3.
I would do deliveries
Segue
for
to the topic of the day.
toys.
You like that transition?
Yeah, you almost pulled it off, and then you just started talking about something else.
Well, Paul had to say something and ruined it.
Yeah, I did. Sorry.
So tonight's topic is Viacons. Not Viacons, troop builders.
Yeah, various things you can build little armies of.
There's like a Venn diagram there or something. I don't know. Like Viacons are included in troop builders. That would
There's
be
like
an
a
example.
circle, and then troop builders, and then
Yeah.
like Cobra, Decepticons, Sharkticons. Right.
Yeah. So
Tonight we're talking about Anna's favorite subject, troop building.
That's right. I do tons of it.
Why don't you explain to us the basic concept of it? You have the floor.
Yeah. Okay. So the basic concept is that a real collector should only have one of every character. Therefore, you should never be troop building.
See, I have a problem
Yeah.
with right off the bat with you saying a real collector.
I know. I was trying to.
No
Yeah.
such thing as a real collector. That's another show for another day.
I think we should
Well, I like
rile
that
up a
show.
few people and say only real collectors collect G1, right?
No, that's dumb.
So
Let me tell
One of
ya.
every character.
I used to
Who cares
troop
what
build
she
G1.
I don't know if Rodimus is in the chat yet, but I figure we get a comment out of him if I say that. But yeah, but how can you only have one of certain characters when there were multiples of those characters in the fiction?
How's it a character if there's multiples of it? That's
Right.
just like a group or a faction.
So if you say
So-
one per character, and like on the screen there were how many Sharkticons in the movie, and how many Insecticons, and how many, sweeps and whatnot, right?
That's
It's
a weird
one per
one with the
character. And
Insecticons.
there might be 100 of those characters on the screen. So one per character.
They're each different.
Yeah. You could.
Yeah, no, I totally see your point. I totally
Right.
see your point. It just doesn't work very well with my collecting rules.
All right, let me throw something at you then, Anna. Troop
Gosh.
building versus seekers / prowl / how does that work?
Yeah, no, this is a good question. Because honestly, to me, troop building's better.
Yeah, because you could have, okay, so say your troop builders, right? If you customize each of the characters and paint them differently, then are they a different character?
Right?
So
So-
Junkions, are they different characters, or because I have the 3 Junkions released by Hasbro and Takara, but then I have all the add-on kits, but then I have
Right.
a whole bunch of other Junkions.
So, Rick, I was thinking about this today as I was thinking about different, troop builders and all that. And, when Hasbro came out with that, like those stupid things where you could pull the legs apart for like little kids. What were those things called? Gosh. Do you know what I'm talking about? From like, it was like, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago or so, where the mash.
The
Hero.
the
Robo
Hero
Mashers.
Mashers?
Mashers?
Yeah, Robo Mashers or whatever.
Yeah, they were Robo Mashers for Transformers, Hero Mashers for everything else,
Yeah.
like Star Wars and Marvel. Yeah,
So
Yeah,
they
yes.
missed a great idea to actually make Junkions in that. And then
True
you
enough.
legitimately could have gotten like a zillion of those. Like
Yeah.
I would have loved
Well-
I actually think that would be a cool concept because they just didn't make enough different Junkions, and if they would have, like in Generations or whatever, and slightly repainted some of that, and then you could mix and match all of them.
yeah. The problem was one of the Junkions you could only get in a 3-pack from Takara.
Right.
So you had to get like the clear cup and the clear hot rod to get the 3rd Junkion. So at one point we even talked about doing a Junkion 3-pack with like a lot of like battle damage stuff for San Diego Comic-Con,
That'd be fun.
and that didn't work out.
That's too bad.
But Hero Masters is its own thing because that was the line that brought us the Transformers Collectors Club Heatwave, which was the Shattered Glass Decepticon, because nobody there that's just a great example of like nobody understanding the brand, because somebody Googled Heatwave and they saw the club exclusive giveaway figure instead of Heatwave from like Rescue Bots, which is what they were supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So was that the Hero Mashers stuff? Was that like outside? Was it like outside of the bubble of the Transformers brand?
Well, it was a cross-branding experience. So you could take Hero Mashers from Star Wars and Marvel and mix them with your Robot Mashers from Transformers to create a whole new...
I guess
Cyborg.
we're getting a little bit off topic, but I've just got to ask a question. So, like, is that the team that was in charge of those? Were they just like, hey, Star Wars people, give us your characters. Hey, Transformers people, give us your characters. We'll do what we want with it. So that's like pretty much why that happened.
It was another team. That
There's
didn't
like a bunch of
understand any of the IPs.
Okay, bunch of like Princeton grads that are like, cool. I like putting things
like
together.
like-
The interns. So.
Yeah, and we said, hey, do Heatwave from Transformers, and we're all thinking in our head, Heatwave from Rescue Bots.
Just like G1 Strafe on that 2-headed dinosaur.
Right.
Right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Same person involved in both of those problems.
Yeah,
Okay,
I feel like
the
Hero Masters in general like crashed and burned. It seemed like. I mean, those did not seem to sell well at all.
No,
so speaking of,
the RID ones are impossible to find. They like went straight to Ross, and they're super. I don't have any of them, and they're super expensive to get.
Yeah, I never saw the RID ones. I didn't even realize they made those.
Yeah, I think there's 4 of them.
so speaking of crashing and burning, let me bring us crashing and burning back to the topic by saying what my actual issue is with troop building in Transformers. And that's that troop building is the idea of getting a whole bunch of figures that are the same representation of a generic troop or soldier or character that would be part of a larger army or collective or group, right? And when you're doing it with like your G.I. Joe characters or your foot soldiers, there are people wearing a uniform, every person underneath. So, every single whatever Viper is a different person underneath the suit. They all look the same when they're wearing their outfits, so it's okay. But if you could pull off their helmets, you could imagine creatively, one could look a lot like Paul, one could look a lot like Lucas, whatever. With Transformers, it's kind of disturbing because them being them being the same generic look, means their skin looks identical to the other ones. That's why it's always bugged me.
So you're
in
saying
Transformers. What was the joke?
Oh my god.
Rick knocked over like all of his troop builders.
Oh, Rick.
So you're saying, Anna, that it's okay to troop build humans, but it's not okay to troop build robots.
Well, yeah, because with the humans, they're still they're their unique selves underneath outfits.
What about twins?
Right.
Yeah. What about twins, Anna? That was a great movie.
Good God.
And I have never thought about it that hard, ever.
I never seen that hard. Have you met me?
Wow. I mean, it's like they're all fictional characters to me, so like that just does not ever compute. Like they're not all the same dude under that. Like to me, it doesn't. Like it's very much obvious I'm buying the same guy over and over and over and over. I just like I've come to. I don't have to do any mental gymnastics to make myself think something different than that. For me, that's not a problem. I'm very aware that I'm just getting multiples of the same thing. Not that I'm a huge troop builder, but if I was, it's not. It just I'm very cognizant of the fact that it's just the same dude over and over. It doesn't bother me because it's filling a need. Like if I want to have an army of Sharkticons, the only way to do it is to get an army of Sharkticons because they're not all individual.
So here's the thing. All right. So there's people who collect for the toys, which sounds like Anna collects for the toys. And just hear me out before you reply. Those don't count because those came in a 3-pack.
They're also two different sharks because they got different
stripes.
So, of course.
So hear me out. There's people who collect for the toys, and there's people who collect for the story. So I like to collect for the story, right? So that's why I feel the need to have 1 million Insecticons, 1 million Sharkticons, because in my display, that's representing what that story of the brand is about.
And that makes perfect sense. And it does represent that part of the story. I think it's just a part of the story that I find kind of disturbing. So I don't do it. Like, I have no problem with troop building. Like, as a kid, I always thought it would be really cool to get, like, an army of foot soldiers or something to scare my Ninja Turtles. But the Transformers thing is just bizarre to me.
But there's no difference.
See, I just always thought of them as different characters, though, even though it's a troop and they look similar. Like, so, I mean, even like, okay, you have Reflector, right, which is one of your favorite characters. All of those look the same. If you're getting the animation accurate ones.
That's true, and it's really disturbing. And I think of them as all part of one consciousness.
Well, they are.
Kind of like a weird horror movie thing, so I kind of enjoy it in a way. But, like, this is one of the things I've overthought, like, terribly about Transformers is the generics, like, with Viacom drones and sweeps and everything else that's kind of a generic. I've overthought it greatly. The other one is combiners. I've really overthought that whole, like, calling an individual combiner a he instead of a they, because it's 5 people mind melded, so it's kind of disturbing. But yes, I've overthought.
See, off topic on the combiners, but I still don't understand. You haven't read through all the comics, because they had a whole comic run when they talked about the combiners and Devastator and all that, and when Prowl combined with them and whatever.
Which was a great story.
Yeah, like it was this great storyline where they talked about that and about their minds melding together and whatever. So if you want to go ahead while you have the time, now at home and aren't going out and doing things, you could read that storyline.
Yes, in all my ambitious free time. Buckets and buckets.
What I find kind of interesting right now is that Hasbro seems to be embracing the troop building concept, but not with Transformers yet. And maybe there are instances of them having done so in Transformers that maybe someone can think of, but they are doing it with the new Star Wars Black Series. For Empire Strikes Back, they're releasing a Hoth Rebel Trooper, and it comes with all these different alternative face sculpts, or you can put the hood up or give a guy a beard, or like the one toy can be given, I think, 5 different combinations. So, and they're encouraging troop building it on Hasbro Pulse.
That's cool.
And I think they even sell packs, like the Hydra Trooper. I think you can buy like a 10-pack of the Hydra Trooper.
Yep, that's they're doing it with those. I think it's because it's easy to interchange some of those features. But if they did it, when would they? I would assume they seem to be taking the cues they're doing with some of the other brand collector toys and trying to figure out how to apply them to Transformers in small ways. Like I think the Studio series is definitely like the Black Series for Transformers or something, But what would they, if they did a troop builder for Transformers, who would it be? At least to give it the first shot. I mean, I guess I would probably say the sweeps, but we're not in, movie territory right now at this point in the brand right now. Or are we?
I think Insecticons would be a good pick.
Sharkticons, of course. You can do Seekers even. So Anna, I thought of something, and I want to throw it out your way. All the Viacons in Transformers Prime look the same.
Yeah.
However, we named one Viacon Steve, and we kind of gave him a personality. So, does it make sense then to have 2 Viacons? One Viacon, and then one Viacon that you would address as Steve?
Yes. Yes.
So you're saying your collection's incomplete because you don't... So you said it's in the story.
That would be an interesting story.
There's numerous episodes where there's Sweep 5 and 6 reporting in. Army of Insecticons or Plague of Insecticons, right?
But how do you know, again, that those don't have different names? Because they're not naming the Sharkticons or Insecticons or whatever in the show. Because they're attacking people as they're going. So maybe one of them's Bob and one's Steve and whatever. I mean, there was an Insecticon Bob.
So we need a comic book series called Troop Builders or Troopies, something like that. Right? Where it just explores. They all look the same. Right? But they're just different. They're just named differently.
Goodness.
I have an idea now finally for a commission. I need to talk to Casey or Andrew or whoever, like one of those artists, and they need to commission this. And it's like, I need a huge poster with like 100 different ones and just name each, one slightly differently. And so then that way it's okay to have one of each.
Yeah, so they each have a different name drawn on them.
And because it's from a Transformers artist, then you can kind of say it's legit and it's in the fiction.
It's legit, totally.
And then we can put it up on TFWiki, and then there you are.
So I got a question, Anna. So what about when it's not a character? What about when it's a scraplet?
Oh!
Wow. Exciting.
Paul, I forgot. I've got a box of scraplets somewhere I need to find.
I had a lot more, but some dude up and bought 5 of them from me at once.
I'll buy the rest from you right now.
His scraplets, those are sentient, right?
I don't know. You tell me, dog.
I can't remember. I don't know.
And the individual scraplets kind of combine together to become a large scraplet, right? Scrapmaster, whatever.
But that name never made it into the show.
Mm. Well, I mean, I guess the scraplets are more like, insects or something. They're like a pest. There isn't a scraplet name.
They're like Insecticons, you would say.
Sort of, yeah. They're like,
right.
Insecticons for Insecticons. Or like Kremzeek, there's tons of Kremzeeks, but they were all different colors, right? So like each one had a different look.
It's just like you said, Paul, at the very beginning when I started my little rant, which I thought was going to be a silly thing I did for like 2 minutes, then we'd move on. Just overthought.
You don't know us.
It's fun to overthink these things, though. Like, I'm fine with it. It's enjoyable.
No, I literally have never, that was a new thought that had entered my brain after 39 years. I was like, wow, I never thought about that.
I can't imagine that, because I just remember, when Prime came out, and I was liking it, and I was like, this is really cool. As far as, the story, and the way things were going, and the way things were presented, and the somewhat mature plot. But then every time Viacons showed up, I was like, what are they? Are they drones? Are they not really people? Are they just, are they failures who are relegated to some formlessness and they don't get names anymore? It was so sad for them.
But they answered that in Beast Machines. At least the Beast Machines version of Viacons they're drones. They're sparkless.
Yeah, they were drones.
Automatons. Right? So I have a whole army of Beast Machine Viacons as well. So if you were to come over and look at my troop building displays, would they disgust you? Would you look at them and quietly think, man, what a waste of money?
No.
What is wrong with this guy?
I don't think it's a waste of money. I think it makes a neat display. I just think fiction-wise it's disturbing.
Yeah, you're okay with Stormtroopers. Or Cobra Vipers.
There's people under those suits.
But the Stormtroopers are all
robotic life forms.
The Stormtroopers are tricky.
The Stormtroopers are all clones. So it's
the same dude underneath.
At least that's how it started.
Well, yeah, the original ones.
They're all different dudes. They're just all look very similar.
Well, Anna, with the Viacons in Prime, it's almost like they must have decided, the Decepticons must have been like, hey, we're recruiting people who wants to be on our team, and if you say yes, it's like, all right, we're going to rip your spark out and put it in this new body, right?
It's
right, Steve, that is super disturbing.
Yeah, but they might have.
The army does.
Maybe they knew that.
The army shave your head.
Yeah, if that was described in fiction, that would be really interesting.
Yeah, well, it seemed to me like in Prime they all had their own personalities, because you see them walking around and looking at Starscream, what the hell is that guy doing? Stuff like that. So it seemed to me they were definitely not autonomous in that show. But then there were the elites, right? So some of them upgraded into being white badasses. So I don't know. There was definitely there was some story there that never got told that could have.
The recent one that bugged me was when we were watching Cyberverse, and we got to the Cube episode where they're playing Cube, the stupid sport that they play, and both teams are the same guy 6 times. Right? And that's not a troop building thing. That's literally I guess from a light.
It's called a budgetary constraint.
Right. And that makes it weird. Like thinking, like, imagine if the entire baseball team was just the same guy over and over.
They all wear the same uniforms.
Yeah, they're all different. They all have different faces. Even if it was just their faces that look different, it'd be better to me.
So here's my question.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's okay.
So moving on. So like, really, the only thing that I've really troop built myself are Sharkticons. Like whenever they had the Sharkticon, the Legends Class 1 that came out a few years ago, and so I just casually was like, every time I go to the store and I see one, I'm gonna pick one up. And so I did that, and I got like 9 or 10, I think, something like that, right? So, but I feel like that's kind of an amateur hour compared to some people, because Rick, I remember you mentioning for the sweeps that you did the same thing, except for it was like in a lot bigger of a bulk. So like, how many Sharkticon sweeps, whatever, do you have of various things?
So Sharkticons and Scraplets, I don't have too many of because they were hard to find. Mm-hmm. So the Cyberverse Sharkticons were hard to find, and in my area, the Legends were. So I would say I have maybe like 40 Sharkticons altogether, right?
These ones?
No, not the ones.
The Legends one.
The Null.
Yeah, they're these are the Cyberverse ones, and then I have Legend ones somewhere.
I was gonna say, I don't know where mine are.
Got it. Somewhere
around here. So I would say, altogether between the two, I have around 40 Sharkticons. I'm always finding more whenever I open a box. Viacons, I definitely have over 100, and I think sweeps, I lost count at like 112 or something, or 120.
Didn't you make a whole show out of opening those?
Yeah, out of both. Wait, no. Did you do Viacons or just sweeps?
I did a show of Viacons and I did a show of sweeps. And unbeknownst to all of you, I've been filming another show right now as we've been talking of all the other Viacons and sweeps. And
are you going to title it? Are you going to title it "Knocking Over Boxes in My Basement"?
I'm going to title it "Lucas Would Be Mad If He Found This Out."
Well, no, see, this is the thing is Rick actually forces me to learn how to edit because he just sends me these like 2-hour-long videos and says, hey, can you speed some of these parts up? Like, figure out where you need to do it. So it's like I'm just opening all these Viacons and all these sweeps, like, here you go.
Grouping it up. I mean, I've never seen anything quite like that. Did you troop build the Terrorcons from Energon as well?
I started to, but I didn't get that far into it. I would say I probably have like 2 or 3 of each loose. Okay. So then I'm also making my Sharkticon display. What are you laughing at?
Sorry, there's a comment. Rodimus in the chat says that you're actually filming your audition for RFC while doing this show.
They said no! So this is what I'm doing with my Sharkticon so far. So I have a bunch of the third-party ones. And then I'm going to put the Cyberverse ones and then the little Legends ones in front. Right?
Cool.
Okay.
But all my G1 stuff stays with G1. So,
Maybe Shark to World.
Let me ask you something along these lines. Is hoarding Optimus Primes, is that troop building? Or is that the same? Now,
it's the same character.
That's character collecting. That's a little different.
Okay, so
Agreed.
Having a Generation Sharkticon versus a Cyberverse Sharkticon is different.
Yeah, I mean, getting like one Sharkticon and getting every single one you can find, like one of each version, like that's character collecting. Like getting multiples of the same toy, like the exact same toy, like they look the same in the box and you just are opening both and they look the same. That to me is troop building for sure.
Yeah, me too.
It's the multiple editions of the same. It's the multiple copies that makes it troop building.
You're gonna have to edit out that whole part where I walked around Lucas. Out of the.
Yeah, I don't know about that, man. We're doing it live right now.
No, for cut the tape.
Mm.
Oh,
okay,
right. Yeah, for cut the tape. that part up.
I mean, I always like when I first saw like pictures of people troop building, it was typically like stormtrooper, you know, Star Wars people trying to set up like that scene where the Emperor shows up, and like they have them all in formation, and like it's like holy shit. When you see it for real, it's like pretty cool. It's really nice when it's trying to emulate a specific scene or moment from like a show. I always really appreciate that kind of attention to detail.
Yeah, I think that's cool, actually. It can be a really neat display.
So, I love G.I. Joe. So, 3 3/4 inch figures were $3 at the Hasbro employee store. And they loved me at that store. Like, they would put stuff aside for me, right? Like, one day they had the G.I. Joe pits, and they got like, I think 3 of them. And I saw them and they were $12 for the big giant G.I. Joe pit. And I'm like, put 2 of those aside for me. She's like, I gotcha. Okay. So I'm walking out with like 2 of the G.I. Joe pits. So, I mean, I really don't. When I started at Hasbro, I really didn't collect Star Wars. I had Star Wars as a kid. I love Star Wars. I had a few pieces. I still have my Star Wars from when I was a kid. But, I mean, they were so cheap that I would like, all right, here's Clone Troopers, here's Stormtrooper, $3 each. In my basket. Here's a TIE Fighter, $6 each. I'm just going to buy 5 of them. Why not? So, you know, if you look above me, you kind of see I'm building a Star Wars trench run, right?
Oh, right.
So I'm going to take all the hundreds of vehicles I have, and I'm going to create the trench run scene from Episode 4.
Okay.
But then, you know, you also see I have like a lot of rock formations around, you know, like indicative of the Ark in G1, which explains the orange color. But so I'm also going to build like little dioramas with like Star Wars ships flying around and stuff. And then everyone's favorite, the worm. I got a little Micro Machine Millennium Falcon that's going to be flying out of his mouth. So he's going to be going right over there.
Dude, you've been saying that for over a year. I mean, you've done a lot of progress, but I want to see that thing hanging from the ceiling.
I do too.
So Rick, I'm just curious, like, when you were at Hasbro, were you like one of the few employees that actually like had to spend more money to work there than what you made like at an employee store?
Right.
Like
they were paying me in toys.
When they when they were doing their projections on the Hasbro store or whatever, like they're like your portion was like a significant portion of the revenue.
When they could order solid cases of stuff, I would like ask, can you order me a solid case of Zombie Troopers for G.I. Joe? Okay. All right, cool. 12 Zombie Troopers. Boom. $3 each. Beautiful. So, interesting story about the Viacons. This is a true story. During Wave 1. I think it was Wave 1.5 or Wave 2.5 of Transformers Prime. Not the sneak peek special edition stuff, but the main release of the toy line. They're like, all right, let's put 2 Bumblebees in per case. And I said, no. We already have enough Bumblebees. How many Bumblebees can you sell to the same kid? How many yellow Camaros or Camaro-like cars? Because to the kid, it all looks the same. How many of those yellow Camaros can you sell? We need to expand the idea of troop building. There's a ton of Viacons in the show. Let's put 2 Viacons per case. And I did that knowing that I would be buying Viacons, and I would be ordering solid cases of Viacons from the employee store. And so I convinced them, and that's why in Wave 1.5 or 2.5 you have 2 Viacons. in the box instead of 2 bumblebees.
What a nice, heartwarming story.
Because I was selfish and I wanted to troop build them, and then they ended up at like TJ Maxx or something for like $6, and I bought a ton more.
Well, there we go. So
someone in the chat mentioned a good question, and the answer is something that I can actually pull down from my shelf for once, was that do the Autobots ever have opportunities for troop building? And that's like, it's way less common, right? Because most of the time, I think in a lot of fictions it is, because most of the time it's the bad guys that are troop building.
So we talked about the Hoth Trooper, and this is just a funny anecdote. I didn't know this topic was going to be the topic until like yesterday. So the last 2 days I've been, before the weather got really bad here on Endor in Massachusetts, I was in the garage looking for Lego sets to keep my kids entertained. So we do school in the morning, and then we do a Lego set after lunch. And I've been buying Lego sets for years, and I've just never built them because I didn't have a place to put them. So we've been building all these Lego sets, and I got a couple hundred sets sitting around. And I open a box, I'm like, oh, cool! Auto Troopers from Transformers Animated, from the BotCon set. I'm like, oh, cool, Auto Troopers. Awesome. Three pack of them. Perfect. Walking around, another day. Oh, Auto Troopers. Perfect. Another. I already had 3 on my shelf, so I found 3, and then the next day I found 3. So, 9 if you do the math. Right? And then I'm walking around that same day, and I'm like, crap. Auto Troopers. And now I'm thinking in my head, it's not a problem that I have so many Auto Troopers. The problem is, my animated shelf is only so big. Which means now I need to move my Auto Troopers to a troop building shelf. Which means I don't have enough, which now means I need to get more.
Could you imagine troop building this Auto Trooper? Since it's so large.
I have one of those. I have one.
I do too.
I bet you need more than one, Rick.
You know what? We'll chalk that up to vintage.
How many sticker numbers does it come with? Because it comes with stickers specifically to give it a number.
Don't say that. That's not true.
Rick, I believe that I own the sticker, and I have the stickers, and I still haven't decided which number to put on it.
That's not true.
I think it's like 5. I think it's only like 5.
Oh, so I was really big into G.I. Joes. I still am. And, for some reason, I just felt like, oh, G.I. Joe Sky Strikers, $13. So now I have over 30 Sky Strikers from G.I. Joe, from the modern era line. So I thought to myself, my little rinky-dink 6-foot flag isn't really going to do anything for me. So for the last 4 years, I have been building a 16.5-foot long, 6.5-foot wide USS flag that holds 25 Sky Strikers on it. I got the tower ready to go. I took an old Terradrome, stripped it down. I'm going to make that the tower, so it's going to have a circular tower. It's a beast.
Rick, I feel like you're the only person to look at the USS flag toy and say, you know what, that's just not big enough.
It's not big enough, no. I can fit like 4 or 5 of them on my personal flag.
Wow.
So
yours is to scale.
You should see what I'm planning to do. So I got 2 dioramas after the flag's finished in mind. So I love He-Man. So I've been collecting a lot of Shadow Beasts and troops and stuff for Masters of the Universe Classics. So we have a table. We have this beautiful Marvel table upstairs, which my wife wants to get rid of because she wants to replace it with a long table. So this table is 5 by 5. She's like, you can have that table. So I'm going to put it in the basement here, and I'm going to build Eternia. So I'm going to take my Castle Grayskull from the Classics line, my Snake Mountain, and I want to build the whole landscape of the poster, where like the two sides are coming up out of the crevice of my Masters Universe figures.
So just out of curiosity, like, what does your wife think about this? Like, when you tell her these ideas about the fact that you're thinking about building this massive display of, Star Wars, Transformers, Masters of the Universe.
I would assume they don't have those discussions super often.
Out of sight, out of mind. If you go to my house, you walk around my house, you would not be able to tell that I have anything pop culture related, no toys, whatever, other than like stuff from the girls, right? It's all in the basement. Mm. But I've annexed the patio outside the basement, right? So
outdoors?
I found a prop from a film called, I think it was a 1967 film, The Man from Enceladus.
Is this a UFO?
This is the UFO. So I got a UFO prop, a giant UFO prop. It's 6 feet, flying saucer that was used in the film, and it's sitting outside now. And I'm going to customize that into a Cosmo, and I'm going to smash them in, and I'm going to create the plants, the robot plants that are eating Cosmos from that one episode. And then there's also a stone walkway that goes up to the double doors of the basement that has a giant 4x4 foot Autobot symbol in stone sitting in front of it. And those are on my Rick's Vault at Facebook. You can go and you can see that already. That was one of the first things I did when I moved into this house, this giant stone landing.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, so my Cobra set. So I troop build the hell out of Cobra figures. $3 a pop. All day, every day, man. All day, every day. Order me a solid case of bats, solid case of vipers. So I'm going to build the inside of a Terradrome. And each level is going to be a different disaster. If you've seen the film Cabin in the Woods, you've seen that they have different monsters and cubes. And everything that could possibly go wrong is going wrong because it's a Cobra base. So one floor, it's aliens. So I got the Hiya Toys 3 3/4 inch aliens. They're going to be attacking the Joes. Another level is going to be a T-Rex. Another level is zombies, right? Another level is like Lego figures or something, or Creos attacking them from a portal or something like that. So it's going to be crazy.
No, it sounds super cool.
That's what you can do when you troop build, Anna. You can create...
Oh, I know. I like cool displays. Like, I really want to jazz up my Legends display behind me and, like, actually add terrain and stuff. But I just don't have any, I don't have any desire to add troops to it, but I do want to fill it with stuff.
See,
like,
and I think,
would be cool.
I feel like Legends would be the perfect scale to troop build.
Absolutely.
Because the figures are smaller, so you can just get a zillion Insecticons, or whatever, or Sharkticons, or whatever it may be in that scale. So I would love for them to do like a third party or whatever if they do release the Sharkticons to release like a massive pack of them.
Honestly, if you could get those New Age Insecticons in a slightly crappier plastic, just so they'd be not $50 for the set, that would be a really cool thing to troop build. Just because they're detailed enough that they have a little bit of personality, but you could really do some fun. You need some fun displays with those little guys.
I'm a little disappointed that the Sharkticons that you showed off are packed together with that Rodimus set, because I feel like if they had been on their own and they just did like a 10-pack of like bots, like what they do, those $15 8-packs, whatever they are, of solid Sharkticons, I totally would pick up like a ton of those.
I wish these were easier to find. These Sharkticons.
Oh, the Cyberverse ones?
Cyberverse ones.
Dude, I had dozens of those.
I I call dibs on your scraplets. So.
All right. Well, I wonder if this troop building thing going on with Black Series and Marvel Legends might work for Transformers in the next the next part of the trilogy, perhaps.
Yeah.
It might.
Well, they have the Alicon coming out. I mean, that is a potential troop builder, right? So.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
definitely.
It is. Yes, it is. So definitely. I think I'm going to cap myself off at 20 loose. If I can find them. But
so fiction-wise, we still don't actually know that the weaponizers are sentient, right? That hasn't been addressed yet.
I mean, I would assume they have names, you know. Like,
I assume they're not, but that's just so strange.
I think it's just because the one dude has one eyeball. It's easy to assume the people without two eyes are drones.
Part of their functionality is to be pulled into parts and used as weapons.
All right, but here's the thing: was Roller and G1 sentient?
No,
he wasn't.
I don't think so, but
well, Optimus says in that one episode he's a tough little Autobot.
It's true. True.
So
but I know a sound.
Sentient?
Ooh.
What?
Are the sweeps sentient?
I was saying Squeaks from.
Squeaks. Oh, okay, sorry.
Oh, that thing.
Yeah. So the idea behind that character. That was an Archer invention that we pitched for movie 4. So the idea was this kid, he builds a motorbike, like a Crossroads dirt bike, out of like Transformer parts that he finds after Chicago. And by the end of the movie, Optimus like grants that character Autobot status. It's like the first human-born Autobot.
That's a neat idea.
And then we got Squeaks in the movie. And we all know how that turned out.
Oh. I want to say I was so excited for Squeaks because it was such a goofy looking thing. I thought it would actually be like the weird, cute thing that finally appealed to me in the movies. Nope.
No, just more garbage.
Yup.
Those movies are really made by committee, aren't they?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they're made in a void.
Yeah.
So, since the rest of you do this troop building thing and I don't, obviously, let me throw out a question here. Do any of you ever, and this is mostly for Rick, because I know like the other two of you are like, I sometimes troop build a little, dabble.
I don't regret it.
No, I don't. You don't regret it. You like it, obviously. You're excited to talk about it. What I want to ask is, have you ever troop built something that wasn't actually a troop in the fiction? Something that you just felt should be troop building. Like, for instance, with the, what are they called? The repaints of the weaponizers. They were the Power Dashers. Like with them, right? Because they're like, in some canon, they're drones. So, but nobody's ever like told you to troop build them. That could be one thing, or it could be something that you just decided you should troop build because you liked it as a potential troop. Have you ever done anything like that?
No.
The end.
I'm thinking of all the different brands that I collect.
Yeah.
And I think I started to go down that route with like the NECA Predator series, but then I thought, no, this is too expensive. So I would say the answer is no. I only troop build characters that, story-wise, deserve to be troop build, except for Seacons. Just because they're hard to get.
So you wanted to troop build something that you just thought looked like a cool thing to troop build.
Yeah. Like if I thought, like, oh man, this Ultra Magnus is a really cool figure. I'm gonna own 50 of them. No, I don't have that disorder.
So
my disorder is very specific.
One recent figure I could think of is Sound Barrier, because he's someone that a lot of people have been troop building just to make the multiple ramps, but he really hasn't appeared as multiples in the fiction.
Well, have you seen all those deleted scenes from the movie?
Yeah, that's amazing.
So, yeah, I mean, there you go.
Yeah, he was at Sherman Dam.
Right, yeah, yes. Right.
He saved Hound from being beaten up by Rumble in the underwater.
Yeah,
I do love that.
In there, Ironworks. I don't know if Ironworks is sentient. I haven't decided yet.
Well, there's been people, group buying or troop building the modulators so far, right. But I think there's utility in that, and that's why they're doing it. So that's not typically the reason someone troop builds something, but I think the weaponizers kind of gave that too. It's not being driven by the fiction, which most troop building is. It's being driven by the abilities of the toys to do cool things that require more than one.
Right. 5, 6 guns can make a neat 6-gun jig.
Yeah.
Have you seen the space bridge everyone's making from sound barriers?
Yeah.
I think it's 6.
I've seen that, and it just doesn't interest me. I don't know what it is, but I have like no interest in doing that. Like, I have the sound barrier, and I'm like, I just haven't.
Well, I think you're very driven by the fiction, Rick. Just going on a limb. And if there's no fiction telling you to get 5 sound barriers, then why would you?
Right. So, like, if Hasbro wants to stay in business during this whole, pandemic, just make every character a troop builder.
There you go.
Right? Just have one
definitely
scene.
Appeal to everyone, right?
Yeah, have one scene in Cyberverse where you have, like, every character show up 10, 20, 15 times. Right? And then I'll be like, damn it.
Rick gets on the phone and is like, I need some more cases.
Well, the Alicon was the first thing to sell out on Hasbro Pulse and Target. Right. So that was kind of surprising to me. So there's a lot of people buying many of those.
But that's the first time that character has been in Toyline.
Oh, yeah. It's a big deal.
So
it's such an oddball character. It's special to us, but like I just thought, like, what struck the nerve on that figure? Because it never even really, like, Alicon was always like a fan term, wasn't it?
You mean other than
never had a nerve?
We're running out of characters to redo?
Yeah, I mean,
we've done Repugnus so many times. What else is there?
Could you imagine though, troop building Repugnuses since he's a roach? That'd be so cool.
Yeah, can you imagine though, back in the day, thinking that not only would we get like one Sharkticon or Repugnus or whatever, but we would actually be getting multiple versions of some of these characters. I mean, it's just crazy.
I mean, Skybite, how many Skybites have we gotten in the last couple years? Right?
Yeah.
Got a few.
And Repugnus of all characters. Right?
Yeah.
I just feel like there could be potential to troop build some of those characters, like the one step Repugnus would look cool, like a whole group of them all like or like if someone did like a pack of Ravages, that would be kind of fun.
Of Ravage?
I know Ravage is a cat. Cats don't usually pack, but it's all right.
Like with the Seekers, Anna, it's like I think. When you see those like purple ones, the generic ones or whatever, I think it's just like they draw them like that or they show them like that just to kind of give the idea of, that's a swarm of, there's a whole bunch of these guys. But I think they're all meant to be individuals because like the Rainmakers, they had to show them, they were highlighted because of a certain thing they had to do. So they gave them crazy color schemes to almost show that they were definitely unique people. Think of like every Seeker had his day, like they would all be very unique, but instead they all blend into the background as purple generic guy.
That is a great title for a comic story. Every Seeker has its day.
Wasn't there that cover with Thundercracker in it with all the Seekers that looked exactly the same, and then he's like, hey, sticking his hand up or something?
I think so.
That's kind of cool.
I think if I troop built, I would have to do something where I went in and added a little bit of customization to each one. Like I would have to do like that thing Lucas was joking about, like giving them each a name. I would have to like go through and like give them each like different paint markings or something to make them like different people, kind of, sort of. Like, you know, if I was to buy a bunch of these auto roopers, I would put different numbers on them so that they would all be different ones.
What about Sound Barrier? Because Sound Barrier, you're taking a specific character, and now you're forcing him to be a troop builder.
Yeah, because I have 0 sound barriers right now. Someday I'll have one.
I mean, it's just the greatest Transformer right there. You know, right. It's like he just has to lay down.
So there's a couple characters that have, I wouldn't say come out of nowhere in every case, but have become so prominent the last couple years. Skybite, Repugnus, Astro Train, Wingblade. That going forward, they're, you know, we can say there's going to be a Repugnus in every single brand. It's only a matter of time before there's, you know, Transformers, the movie, Repugnus, right? So, what character is going to be the breakout character? Like, I thought it was going to be Bulkhead, right? And then I thought, all right, maybe it's going to be Lockdown. And Lockdown,
they both were.
The film, right?
Isn't this about troop building?
I feel like that we'll never pick the right one. You know what I mean? Like, whatever we think, it's probably not going to be what takes off with the fans or whatever. But
we could guess on who's going to be the next troop builder, because there's the poop guy and the Morpho Cybertron Walmart ones, the Reflector, who's got a name that kind of sounds like garbage.
Scrapface.
Scrapface, there we go. It's possible Scrapface could like represent, and I know I'm just positing and throwing these out here.
Oh,
but he could represent a race of like reflector bots.
You know, I thought about that, and because those come in like a special box, they're like a separate like price tier. Like they're charging a little bit more for a redeco that has no remolding on it whatsoever.
Are they?
Like,
I thought it's the same price, isn't it?
Yeah, it's $19.99.
Well, yeah, see, $20 it's already. That's more than like I was complaining when sweeps were like $18.99, right? And that was for a deluxe. But now we're going into like something smaller than a small deluxe, and it's $20.
Well, we don't even know that he's a troop builder yet. He could be a very unique person with a name like Scrapface.
You can definitely turn into a camera though, if you got 3.
Yeah.
Part of a camera, yes.
And for a brief moment, I thought, all right, should I get 3 so I can just, you know, do the reflector thing? And I'm like, yeah, probably, but I'll probably just keep the other 2, like, you know, one sealed, one goes on the shelf, and then I'll probably keep 2 other ones, like, in a bucket in the storage area somewhere.
Don't you wish he was an Autobot? Talking about Scrapface? Yeah.
I wish I had more Autobot troop builders. Right?
Yeah, I thought he was an Autobot until I had one in the pan, and I was like, wait a minute, that's a Decepticon symbol. What the heck?
Bad, really.
Is the Mirage supposed to be a Decepticon, or is he an Autobot in the show?
They said something at Toy Fair about him being in disguise.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's definitely listed as a Decepticon, and he looks like a Decepticon. But I believe it's probably going to be a plot point that he's not a Decepticon.
Dun, dun, dun!
Just like Ultra Magnus does not have rung in the box.
Surprise or something.
Surprise.
Shocker.
My hands hurt.
So that's the worst part about troop building, right? Is the fact that you have to open all of them.
Well, it'd be no different if you just took like 17 or 18 of the different characters and started transforming them.
As you've opened like those hundreds of the same toy, have you gotten any like factory flaws?
No, I have not. And I compare all the packages before I open them, looking for variations, and because you buy them at different times and such. I haven't found any variations on the Viacons other than the Divid. No Divid.
Yeah, that's the only difference there, right? I actually have both of those, and I was like, oh, what's the difference? It's just the packaging, right?
Yeah, there's no difference on the figure whatsoever.
Yeah.
It was the same call for Deco.
Cool. Well, so troop building, yay or nay?
The way Rick does it is really impressive. Like, he makes these wild displays. It's really cool.
Thank you. I appreciate that coming from you.
But I think I ain't just a plain shelf of the same guy 20 times. Just like, I don't know, there's more fun stuff to do with your Transformers. But actually making these like cool displays like you do is it's neat.
I think the tough thing I have with troop building is just the amount of space that it would take. That I can't get too many, like, I wouldn't want to get 100 of them because then I have to display 100 of them, and with all the other figures that I have, it just wouldn't really work. So once I get a bigger house like Rick, to where I can have, you know, a much larger basement, then I could, and my wife allows me to use that said basement for display Transformers.
The kids will move out someday, Lucas.
So speaking of kids, you know, I always told my wife, this was always the plan. Oh yeah, that corner underneath the garage, that'll be their area in the basement, and we're gonna build Castle Grayskull there, and there's gonna be a drawbridge that comes down, and the kids can go in, and they can shoot Nerf darts at me and say disparaging things, whatever. Right? She's like, Rick, the basement's taking so long. At this point, the kids are gonna be moved out, and I'm like, yes, it worked. That's gonna be my GoBots in my He-Man area.
I guess troop building toy robots is better than troop building children. Less commitment.
Hey,
that would be much more expensive.
GoBots, I do troop build GoBot transporters. You know the big vehicles that look like AT-ATs?
Uh-huh.
The command centers?
Yeah.
I got a whole bunch of those.
How do you troop build that?
Trust me, they're cheap. Nobody wants them.
Yeah, that's the great thing about GoBots, is that most of them you can have for nothing.
Hey, some GoBots are worth a lot of money.
Right.
Okay, so, I mean, just all that is just like a piece of plastic over and over again that you're putting something else on top of. So
I know. I actually kind of hate them, but I have a lot.
When you get tired of them, I'll buy them off you.
They're so hard to get to stay together. I thought they'd be easy.
Lucas, any thoughts on troop building for you and your kids?
Well, as I said before, that it's just hard for me to display a lot of the various troops. So I don't necessarily know that my kids would really care one way or another to have multiples of one. I mean, I do think that if I got a bunch of stormtroopers or whatever, that they probably would think that was cool, but I don't. I try not to collect Star Wars myself because, it's I can't get too crazy. Again, I don't have the basement space. So, but now, Paul, how about you? Like, how many have you troop built anything?
How many LeBron Optimus Primes have you troop built?
Well, I mean, there's a difference between troop building and having inventory. Those are two different things. They might look the same from the outside, but they're not the same.
Yeah, but when you can't sell them, at what point do you become like, you know what, they're troop builders?
They're always going to sell, baby. I'm trying to think. This whole time I've been like, man, have I troop built anything? Because I swear I have, but the only thing I can think of was
MP44.
This isn't Transformers, so it's probably not going to make a lot of sense to most people. But it's the Ava series, which are the white like evil Evangelions at the end of the movie. Like, those are the coolest ones, and I think there's 9 of them. I don't know, but they all have different numbers. So like, it's kind of, they're each kind of unique, and they all have different battle damage, but they don't each have their own toy. So you kind of have to just buy the same toy 10 times. But I think I only ever ended up with one. So I've wanted to troop, like I've had the desire to do it, but I have never actually followed through.
The kit for it comes with different numbers, though, so you can do all 9, right?
I don't want to know that.
Oh, don't talk to Christian about it.
So let's see. During this episode, I have opened 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 Viacons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Sharktacons. 8 Sharktacons.
That's a lot of things.
So, just out of curiosity, question from the chat. What is the line between troop building and hoarding?
And that's a loaded. That's a
trigger question.
This is a collector podcast. Come on.
That's a trigger question.
I have a lot to say on that.
I mean, the answer is the hoarding was a long time ago. I mean, I feel like we make hoarders look like nothing, right?
Yeah, hoarders are what I call amateurs.
Hoarders just don't have good enough shelving, right?
Hoarders are people who just didn't try hard enough.
Hoarders don't know how to use spreadsheets.
Let me tell you, I had a spreadsheet. This was back in 2007. I was trying to inventory my collection at the time. And that was the year I spent $24,000 on Transformers, because I would keep track of everything that I was spending. So 2007 was the movie, so tons of licensed goods, right?
Yikes.
I bought all the bicycles. I bought all the pencil sets and lunch boxes and bed sheets and everything, right? And then 2 of each toy to open.
Yikes.
So my spreadsheet got so big, it kept crashing my computer that I lost everything because the computer couldn't handle the amount. Like, I would open the spreadsheet and I would just get the pinwheel of death.
Okay, spreadsheets don't crash computers, all right? Like, I've heard.
Listen, let me tell you something. You could not open that spreadsheet and have your computer work.
Spreadsheets don't crash computers. Rick's do.
Yeah. You crashed the computer, Rick, not the file.
Right. Yeah, so I had every genre separated, and then I had Autobot, Decepticon, other, and then I had, open, loose complete, loose missing pieces, checked off whatever I needed so I can reference what I needed. And it just got to the point where it was just so unmanageable. And that was in 2007.
If there was something...
I lost count of how many toys I had in 1997.
That's 20 some years ago.
I was over 6,000 Transformers at that point.
I was still a baby. Not really.
Yeah, but some people might listen to you say that and be like, what the hell? But, you've done some good things with that collection. You've made some books. You've, archived stuff that people didn't know about, You've helped other people cultivate their own collections by having all that stuff and sharing it with the world.
Yeah, I know. I've
some radical displays.
Yeah, I've shared a few times the story of the Trailbreaker Power Wheel. So, that was my own undoing. That's what I get for writing the book. So,
well,
makes the price go up.
That's true. Putting all the information out there makes a lot of competition, doesn't it?
That's why I don't share my more elusive pieces anymore. Because once you tell someone you have something, you tell one person, it spreads to 10 and then 20, and then everyone's you get people you've never heard about, hey, I heard you have this item, I'm looking to pay this much for it.
Right.
I'm not selling it. I don't care what you're offering me. It's not about the money, it's about the satisfaction of me, what this pleasure this brings me, not how much money I can get for it. So,
well, I can't tell. I would love to have people asking me, throwing me offers on stuff. Just doesn't happen that way for me. Maybe I need to write some books.
Yeah, you just there you go.
You just got to know people. And they be like, "Hey, we're done using this now. Do you want it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll put that in the basement."
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, or I'll park that outside.
I'll drive that home.
Yeah, I'm actually not allowed to drive it.
I'll put that dog on the road.
I can't get insurance for it.
Oh my god, my dog barked the second you said that. I don't know how that worked. He is ready to go the road, though.
So Anna, what are we doing tomorrow night for Microcasters on Facebook?
Oh, do you want me to show that too? It's really pretty.
Do you want to do Viacons?
Yeah, we got something way better. I'll be right back.
That would be kind of cool. Rick should be a special guest and send each of you a Viacon that you can.
I'll just keep opening more Viacons.
I
just won't say anything. We're
gonna talk about this.
Oh, that looks so funny.
Look how lovely it is. Oh my
That
goodness.
looks like it came out of Revenge of the Fallen.
What have you done?
Information.
He's so pretty. Look at his legs.
I like how Anna just gets one Seacon and decides to do this to it. So there we go.
It's so much better than all your Seacons. Look at this thing.
You turned it into a KO. Congratulations.
Yeah, way to go, Anna.
That's actually the way it's pictured on the back of the Hasbro packaging. That's actually how they showed it at Toy Fair.
The official bot mode.
Yeah, so tune in to Microcasters tomorrow night to have Anna show that off some more on the TF Talk page.
I might actually talk about its real robot mode.
On at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, live on Facebook, and then we'll put it up later in the week on YouTube. So, and then Wednesday night we we Ouch My Wallet. I believe we should be having one this week since we skipped last week. So we should have that, and then tune in to Cut the Tape.
I could be on that again.
Well, Rick will open up 1,000 more Viacons.
Yes, it's literally this, but just from a different angle.
So there you go.
1,000 is a literal statement.
Yes.
Literal.
Yes, my hands are I have arthritis now.
Ugh.
And then, of course, TF Talk News, which is on Sunday nights. So check out the last episode where they talked about the wonderful masterpiece movie Starscream, which was a fun reveal, among other items.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that just got revealed today, didn't it?
You know, you see...
It's been a long day.
Yeah.
I don't know. The days all run together.
Tomorrow's my birthday, by the way. So tomorrow...
Oh, there you go. Happy birthday.
Yeah, I know I look like I'm 51. I'm actually turning 41.
How many robots will you open on your birthday that are all the same robot?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11,
You didn't
12.
have to actually answer that, Rick.
At least 13. Because I think I'm done for the night.
So Rick, how many years you got left?
Yeah.
Of Troop Building?
Oh my god, you should open a number of Viacons equal to your age.
I know, I just can't find the rest of them. And I have a bunch of
So
scrap bits
perfect, it totally makes sense. That's what you gotta do.
At what point are you going to have your kids start opening stuff for you and be like, here you go, like, we can do unboxing videos. It's all Viacons.
Right. I'm actually going to do a different Viacon review every week for the next year. That's just a practical joke.
Just a little teeny bit.
Right, no, just be like, oh, okay, so this Viacon, he's got articulation here, right? And then next week I'll talk about, look at the detail and the sculpting.
You should do a Viacon-a-thon for charity, like a live stream where you're opening them and people can, like, pledge.
Pay me to stop? Or
no, if you pledge, you get to name that one.
Right. You get to name. So this is Viacon Collecticon, right?
And if you pledge like at least $50 or something, he'll write the name on its foot.
Right, and it goes to like charity, like an animal shelter or something.
The Viacon Foundation.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, this is a great charity event. That will never actually happen.
There's something there. There's an idea there. There's something there.
It has heart.
There you go.
There's something there.
And if you decide you ever want to join in on our bizarre, witty banter, feel free to join our Discord.
Yep. The link to the Discord should be with the videos on YouTube, and then we also periodically share it out on the on Twitter and on Facebook as well. So.
I think you can go to bit.ly.com/TFTalkDiscord too. That'll
there
take
you go.
Right there. If you can't find the link.
Hey, remember when Masterpiece Cheetor came out and we're like, oh, that's, we're going to get a repaint of Tagatron. And then they're like, no, surprise, assholes, it's an all new mold. Right?
Yeah.
Well, I kind of feel like today we got the, Masterpiece Starscream. And then we're just kind of waiting for, like, the Revenge of the Fallen Starscream. They're going to be like, surprise, asshole, it's an all-new mold.
We can only hope. More Triangles of Terror.
I like triangles.
That is another great title for a Transformer story. Triangles of Terror.
And also, if you like what we do, consider supporting us on Patreon. Patreon.com/TFYLP. Tiers from $1 on up. All right, well, do we have any other final thoughts before we wrap?
Nope.
Troop building. Don't do it. Unless you're Rick.
Troop building. You can totally
don't do it. Send all your figures to Rick.
If you have Viacons, like a lot of them, and you want to like unload them, email me at cutthetape@tftalk.net. You get Sharkcons, email me, tftalk.net. I'm also taking orders for Tankors from Generations, Scraplets, and Beast Machines Viacons. Or if you got Cobra Troopers, I'll take those too. Or Stormtroopers, I'll take those too.
No, only
or Shadow
Troop
Beasts.
Auto Reapers.
Or animated Auto Troopers.
There you go. All right, so it sounds like everyone loves troop building, and that we should all do it or send them to Rick.
Yeah, do it if you can.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Rodimus, Zaldron. Trying to think who else we got in here. I know Ron was in here earlier. Who did I miss?
The person who's a lot of letters.
Lots of letters guy.
Wash your hands, people.
Bedford.
Oh, yeah, Bedford.
Thank you to all our viewers, basically.
Yeah. Thank you to everyone. I appreciate it, and we will see you next week.
See you later.
Social distancing.
Man.